Hello friends, welcome. Friend, yesterday I recorded a video to explain that why it is not advisable to auction satellite spectrum, and doing so is not against the Supreme Court judgment. Now, one thing I did not cover yesterday is a very important issue which some of the intelligent viewers might have raised in their minds. They might not have come out openly and asking about a clarification. So what is this issue? So which is very, very important to understand that what this issue is all about. This issue is about a spectrum scandal involving satellite spectrum long back at the time when 2G scam happened, means almost within that particular period. So this 2G scam along with a scam called Devas scam became very prominent. Now, Devas was a satellite-based company. It tied up with Antrix, an ancillary of ISRO, and wanted to provide broadband services in the country. Now, that spectrum to Devas was given on an administrative basis. So, it resulted in a scam. Okay. Now, people who have observed or have seen my video earlier, yesterday, might ask this question that if Devas, which was assigned in an administrative fashion, became a scam, why won't the current administrative assignment of satellite spectrum will not become a scam? Right? That's the basic fundamental question one should answer. So I thought it is my responsibility to clarify this issue and draw some distinction between what happened during the time when Devas spectrum was allocated and how different that spectrum allocation is from the current allocation which is going to happen for satellite broadband services. So let's understand this issue so that people can appreciate the distinction. So again, as I had done earlier, it is important to understand certain technicalities, because without understanding technicalities, it is important to appreciate the issue. Now, the technical issues which I am going to explain to you is not going to be difficult for even a layman to understand. Because if there is a technical issue which can't be explained to a layman, then it is not even worth discussing it. It is important to make everything understood by the layman so that people can appreciate the importance of technology. Otherwise, just taking technology and keeping it to ourselves makes no sense, because it's not going to give the viewers or the public the appreciation of technology, and the implication of the technology cannot be realized and understood, which is extremely important, because every technological development is ultimately for the benefit of the public, right? That is why it is important for everybody to understand it. Now let's look at the Devas deployment concept, which was a hybrid network architecture. Now, Devas was not just providing satellite-based broadband services, which is the current intent of the satellite players. Devas wanted to provide both satellite as well as terrestrial networks integrated with each other. That's the difference between the current satellite spectrum assignment and the services which the companies like Starlink and OneWeb is trying to deploy, and what Devas was trying to do. So now you may say that how can you say that they were trying to do both? Now this is very clear from the Supreme Court judgment. So this is a judgment I'm basically reading out, and I have highlighted the Supreme Court judgment, the recent judgment, where Supreme Court had laid out the following. If you read this, it says this is the clause number 3.7, page number 6 of the judgment. So if you look at the judgment, this judgment is this is the judgment, right? And this was case number appeal number 5766 of 2021. Okay, so this is the judgment, and if you go to this page, this is the page, and if you read, it says that I'll just say terrestrial system. It says that Devas had therefore requested Antrix space segment capacity for the purpose of offering SDMB services and new digital multimedia information services, including but not limited to audio video content and information interactive services across India, and will be delivered via satellite and terrestrial system via fixed portable mobile receiver, including mobile phones, mobile audio receiver for vehicles, etc. Now, can you understand what was the controversy? So, the satellite spectrum was to be used for terrestrial deployment in a circumvented manner. So, if you are going to use the same spectrum which you are going to be given to satellite players with using a different strategy which I explained to you in the earlier video, which I am going to pass on the link in the description, for terrestrial services, now that spectrum no longer remains a terrestrial spectrum, in satellite spectrum, it becomes a terrestrial spectrum. And that too, this spectrum was at what frequency band? This spectrum was at a low frequency band. If you recall my earlier video, I said that satellite spectrum are typically at high frequency band, 10 gigahertz, all these NGSO satellites, non-geostationary satellites are operating at very high frequencies. Okay. And the operating at high frequency does not in any way prevent them to offer services, because in free space there is no difference between what frequency you are transmitting from the propagation point of view. But if you are transmitting a terrestrial signal or you are doing a terrestrial service, then the frequency matters. If you are a lower frequency, then your value of the spectrum becomes better, more, because you can go far. But satellite, it does not matter whether you are transmitting at high frequency, as long as you are not falling within the window where there is a large absorption of signal because of atmospheric interference. If you just prevent that, if you just go side on the frequency spots where those interferences are exponentially high, you can penetrate the atmosphere and you can offer services, as long as your signal strength is more and rain fading can be mitigated. Okay. But whereas in case of terrestrial signals, what happens is that if you are a lower frequency, you can travel very far. That is why if you look at this band is what? 2.5 gigahertz band. And this band is a low frequency band. As I explained to you in the last video, that spectrum bands below 3.5 are very good for 3.5 gigahertz are very good for terrestrial deployment, because they can travel far and you can have better coverage. You don't have to basically consume a lot of power, because power from the base station is not a problem. Power from the handsets is a problem, because it will drain out battery. So this was a very important and a valuable band. Now look at this band plan. This particular spot that you see here, which is BWA 20 megahertz, which I mentioned here, and this particular spot, these are already given to mobile players in India for BWA or 4G services. Now, what was Devas trying to do? Devas was basically trying to get this particular spot of spectrum, 2560 to 2360, which was the downlink, and then we have the uplink here, 10 megahertz of spectrum uplink. So that's what Devas was trying to do. So it was trying to operate in the same block of spectrum which was assigned for terrestrial services, and at the garb of getting this spectrum for satellite services. So they were trying to operate terrestrial system in the same spectrum band at the garb of satellite services. Okay, so that is the problem. Now there is one more thing which is very important for people to understand. So this is the structure of the diagram. So you have satellite here, which is most probably geostationary satellite, because at that time non-geostationary satellites were not prevalent, because it was very long back in time. And you have got multiple base stations on ground which would supplement the signal emanating from the satellite, because what happens is satellite signals could not have penetrated indoors, because it could have blocked by the roof of the house, because it is coming straight down, right? So if you are in a house here, your signal will get blocked, right? So you can't really enter indoors, and you can't. There will be a lot of blind spots which you can't cover by satellites. So what they were thinking, they were basically supplementing those blind spots using terrestrial base station and integrating them, and planning to integrate these two services together as a same service. Now this is an important signal. So this is the satellite, which is, let's say, at 36,000 kilometers above the earth. and then we have a ground-based base station 5 kilometers on the earth. Signal is coming here and it is getting integrated into the mobile. Now this chart is a very important chart, and why I am pointing to this chart is because I believe that whatever Devas was trying to do at that time was unworkable. Though they basically said that they had the technology to integrate satellite signal with terrestrial signals, it was actually one unworkable proposition. And let me explain to you why it was an unworkable proposition. The scam got created, unnecessary, and spectrum got wasted. Even today, that 80 megahertz of spectrum which I showed you could not have been used, is not possible to be used, and it got blocked because of this controversy, and we unnecessarily wasted so much amount of spectrum. 80 megahertz in 2.65 gigahertz band is a huge cost. Actually, it's not 80, it is actually 80 plus 10 megahertz. So 90 megahertz of spectrum got wasted. Now why this was an unworkable solution, you will understand from my description, what I am going to talk to you right now. Now this is a satellite here, right? Now satellite is at a height of 36,000 kilometers. Now when you are transmitting signal from satellite, such a big height, because naturally the transmission from satellite has to happen at a height where the satellite is located. So it is 36,000 kilometers. So you know that from basic physics that RF signal will travel at the speed of light, which is 3 lakh kilometers per second. That is the speed of light. So if you divide 36,000 kilometers by 3 lakh kilometers per second, you get a delay of 120 milliseconds. So this signal from the satellite will reach the mobile handset or wherever the fixed terminal handset here, terminal here, at a delay of 120 milliseconds. Okay. Now the ground-based base station may be just 5 or 10 kilometers away from the fixed terminal or the mobile phone, which they are trying to integrate with the satellite signal. Okay. So you will find that the delay of signal emanating from the base station and reaching the mobile is going to be 0.0166 millisecond if it is only 5 kilometers. Now there is a delay of signal from the satellite of 120 millisecond, and there is a delay of signal from the emanating from the ground based terminal at a delay of only 0.016 millisecond, which means that signal from the satellite is going to signal from the base station is going to arrive 7,300 times faster. Now if something is arriving faster, right, at a particular point of integration, either you have to wait till the time the satellite signal comes, or you have to ignore the satellite signals and simply move on. Right? That's a simple logic, right? Everybody can understand this. Now, if you wait for the satellite signal to come for causing a integration, then what happens? Your system efficiencies goes down significantly. Even today, there is a concept called cyclic prefix. And why cyclic prefix is important? Because there are dummy bits which are embedded into a frame in order to prevent such kind of problems which happen in multipath propagation. So when signal is basically, when let's say if there is a mobile station which is emanating an RF signal, the mobile RF signals may not reach the terminal where the mobile phone from only one single path. There could be some kind of reflection happening from a tree or a building, and there could be some kind of difference of signal which is reaching the mobile phone from 2 different paths or 3 different paths. So in order to prevent interference from signal coming from different paths, what you do, you put a dummy bit at the beginning or at the end of the frame. Why at the end of the frame? That is a technical concept which I don't want to get into in this video, because it will make the video totally complex. So this dummy frame is doing what? It is eating away capacity of the total frame. Okay. And it is doing nothing. It is just waiting. Okay. So your efficiency of the overall system goes down, since the dummy frame size is going to be very small for terrestrial base station, but it's going to be extremely large when the distance between the RF signal emanating from satellite and the ground base stations are going to be so high. It will make the total system unworkable. So what you have to do? You have to ignore the satellite signal when you are transmitting or in receiving signal from the terrestrial base station, which means that it virtually becomes a terrestrial network. It is no longer a satellite based network. So what you are doing is that you are just putting the satellite as a dummy. It is going to be of no use. You can deploy ground based base station and you can basically throw signals and use this ground based base station to provide mobile connectivity, where satellite is acting like a dummy, is not getting used. And if you use this satellite, it will just interfere with your RF signals from the terrestrial base station. So now you get it. Why Devas was a scam and the current assignment of satellite spectrum is not a scam? Because current satellite service providers is no longer deploying terrestrial base stations to integrate their service with the satellite. They are providing satellite based services with no terrestrial base station involvement. And doing so even today is a challenge. Let me tell you that even if you try to do this at low Earth station base station, is still going to be a challenge because of this overlap issue which I am explaining, which is extremely prominent for geostationary satellites because of the distance is going to be very, very high. So now this is the problem with the Devas system and the satellite system. Current issues are not analogous to that. Now what I want to show you here is that why it became a scam, because if you see here in 2010 the same band, the 2.5 gigahertz band, this is basically the chart. You can see that Reliance bought the spectrum at 12,847 crores for how much? 20 megahertz. 20 megahertz of the same spectrum was bought by Reliance as 12,847 crores. Now if you give 90 megahertz of spectrum to Devas to do test to terrestrial transmission at the garb of doing satellite based deployment, what is the size of this scam then? You have to multiply this by how much? 20 divided by, let's take for this example of 100, right? So 5 times. So you have to multiply this by 5 times. So that's why I think for me, if you ask me, this is a much bigger than a 2G scam, because this could have really, you could actually have deployed broadband of much higher magnitude than these players who bought this at such significant price, because this is just 20 megahertz spectrum and there the total quantum of spectrum was pretty high. So if you look at this diagram, the diagram which I showed you, this is 80 megahertz plus 20 megahertz. It's 100 megahertz. So 20 megahertz here plus 100, not 90 megahertz. Sorry for my mistake. And this is just 20 megahertz of spectrum. So 20 megahertz of spectrum is going to cost you how much? 12,500 crores, and 100 megahertz of spectrum you are giving to Devas virtually free of cost. Okay. So this is in short the controversy. So I thought of explaining this to you in clear terms, so that you understand that you see everything has got certain nuances, has to be seen with context, and it is important to see this along with context, and therefore Devas giving spectrum to Devas became controversial because of the contract allowed the same spectrum which was given to ISRO for deploying satellite services were supposed to be used for terrestrial deployment. Okay, so that is in short this video, and I hope that you understood this, and I will and many thanks for your watching till the end, and I'll come back to you next time with a new video. Thank you very much.